Hey guys, back with another Leonardo AI tutorial. We're going to start by doing image-to-image generation, and so I'll show you how to do that. The first method for getting an image into the image-to-image generator is by clicking on it. You can either be in your community feed or in your personal feed. You can click on an image and then just click on image-to-image. What you want to do once you've got your image in this screen is you want to make sure that it's pasted in your prompt, which it does automatically. You want to make sure that your aspect ratio is the same as your image, so that looks like it's about 3:4, and so I'll switch it to that. And then you just want to make sure that you're using the same model that that image was generated with. So I know this one was generated using Leonardo Diffusion. So go ahead and show what an image-to-image generation using this wolf right here looks like really quick. Alright, here's our generated image. As you can see, a similar style, but it lacks a lot of what this original image has. Probably what's happening here is that the negative prompt is different, and the other thing that's probably majorly different about this one is that he could have actually used image prompting in order to get this original one. So we'll have different results because of that. So yeah. Now the next thing I wanted to show you is how to make this image look a lot more like our original one. And that's going to be primarily through init strength. So right now it's at 0.2, which is another reason why our current image didn't show up nearly as similarly as our original. So we'll pump that up to the top. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to our original, and I'm going to pull that negative prompt out of there. I'm just going to copy it here, and then head back to image to image, add a negative prompt, throw that in there, and now we've got it very nearly as similar to our original as possible. Oops. Accidentally generated it with the wrong aspect ratio. So we'll try that again. See what we get in both instances though. So yeah, you can see how the aspect ratio for that first one, when we didn't have it like this one, kind of squish down our image instead of making it look like our original. So that's what will happen when you do that. That's why you got to be careful about making sure your input dimensions are the same as your original image. So here we go. Got something that's very similar to our original with some slight deviations, especially around the eyes and stuff. But generally speaking, you can take something that someone's created and create something very similar and upscale it, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's how you get an image from the community or from the internet and then turn it into something that is technically your own now that you've run it back through Leonardo AI. All right, now the next thing I want to show you is how a person's face can be affected by image to image and how you can edit that. So I'll go and look at a generation that I did a couple days ago. So we'll go ahead and take, I think it was this one. We'll take this image and we'll say image to image. Make sure my aspect ratio is still good. 3:4. Got our prompt in there. Now I'll show you how init strength actually affects our image to image generation with the same model, the same dimensions, and the same prompt. So we'll start with 9, then we'll go to 0.75, we'll go to 0.6, 0.45, and we'll do 0.3, all the way down to 0.15. And 0.1 just for good measure. Now, unfortunately, it's marked all this as NSFW, although it's pretty obviously okay. You can kind of tell here, there's not a whole lot of difference in 0.9 especially. You're gonna get an almost one-to-one generation, particularly with the photoreal model. It's pretty common. Same thing with 0.75. Now we'll look at 0.6 init strength. You can tell slight differences here, but still fairly one-to-one. Now 0.45. Still not seeing a whole lot of variation, but a little bit in the shirt. Similar to these, a little bit of difference in the way that the shirt is wrinkled, and a little bit of difference in the facial expression here and there. Very minor though, overall. Very little variation when you have the same prompt and the same model. So now we're looking at something a little bit different. This is down to 0.3 init strength, and you can see randomly threw in some sunglasses on 2 of these. Definitely a little bit of variation on our facial shape, and a little bit of difference on, oh, she's got jewelry here, and a little bit of difference on the way that the hair falls on her shirt. Still not seeing a whole lot of difference in the background. A little bit on this far right especially. You can tell the doorway has a little bit of a steeper angle on it, I guess. Now we're down to 0.15. on our init strength. No sunglasses here, so that's interesting. But, yep, variations on the shirt, variations on facial expression. Got a little bit more creative with facial shape expression. Now here's our last one. Don't expect a lot of variation here, but this is with 0.1 init strength. The sunglasses are back, which is kind of funny on a couple of these. Otherwise, a little bit of variation on the facial structure and the way that the shirt sits, and the facial expression. But yeah, that's the difference. So we can kind of look at these side by side really quick. If I upscale the two, so we'll just pull one of these and do crisp upscale. I'll go ahead and crisp upscale 0.9. So here are our 2 images side by side. This is with 0.1 init strength, and then there's our 0.9. Not a whole lot of difference, just little bits of variation there, even with minimum input from our image to image prompt. Now the next thing I want to show you is really interesting. It's what happens when you take an image like this one, that was generated with photoreal, and instead turn off photoreal. We're just going to use Dream Shaper. Now, I've made sure to change this prompt back to our original. So in theory, we're getting something that's exactly like this, but instead we'll have a different style because of our model choice. Make sure our aspect ratio is correct, and then we'll go ahead and start generating, starting with 0.9. So now we'll start at the bottom. So here's our 0.9 init strength. We started from 0.9 and went down to 0.1. And what you'll notice right away is even though we have 0.9 init strength, even though we have the same written prompt for this image, it immediately is going to generate a different style for the face. So this is using Dream Shaper version 7. So right away you can tell it's trying to match it as best it can, but it can't quite get that photorealistic look that the photoreal model has. Here's our 0.75. Notice, still trying to match it best it can, but still getting that characteristic Dream Shaper style. Now 0.6, same thing. A little bit more of that smoothness that Dream Shaper traditionally has. Now we'll take a look at 0.45. Again, more of that characteristic Dream Shaper look. Kind of see from the beginning here, gets progressively more Dream Shaper stylized. All right, now there's 0.15. You can really tell now this is not at all the photoreal model. Very much allowing Dream Shaper version 7 to take it where it will. A lot more creativity there. It can be really interesting to put the 0.1 and 0.9 side by side for this one. All right, and here's our 0.1. Not only are we seeing a big change in the image style, the way that she is positioned, we're also seeing some funky stuff with the sunglasses. You can see her eyes through the sunglasses and they're not sitting right on her face. Very smooth textured rather than sharp like our photo reel. Same thing here, sunglasses sitting low, eyes kind of weirdly peeking through. Very different. So I'll go ahead and upscale our most similar one just so we get something that's more comparable to what our original was. So, pretty sure this is 0.1, and here's our 0.9. Most similar, least similar to our original. Kind of see how that style comes in. We upscaled it with crisp upscale instead of smooth, and that actually did make it look a little bit more photorealistic like our original. But yeah, main differences, looks like in shape and style it's been allowed to deviate from our original, kind of positioning a little bit, background a little bit, but mostly it's the face and the textures that you're seeing are a lot smoother, and the face is a lot smoother for both of these. Now the next thing I want to show you is what happens when you change a couple of the facial features in your image and then shift your init strength throughout the range. So I'll show you that here. The first thing we're going to change is a 25-year-old American girl with short, flowing, dark hair. We'll leave the eye color, wearing a white t-shirt, and we'll change the white to, let's say, blue. And I think we'll leave everything else on there, and I'll just show you these changes. So the couple that we're going to be looking for here is that she's going to have short dark hair instead of long blonde hair, and then she's going to have a blue t-shirt. Those are the things we're going to be looking for. All right, now we'll take a look starting at 0.1. So what you'll notice in 0.1 right away is that it didn't actually pick up our short hair very well. And I think the reason for this is because we didn't remove the word flowing from the description of her hair. We still had it as short flowing dark hair instead of short dark hair. I think that adjective is what threw off our image generator here. But generally, got the dark hair very well, kept the facial shape pretty similar. Actually added jewelry, which is interesting, and changed the shirt blue. So what we should see here, or what we expect to see, is that it will get closer and closer to our original image as we go up the line here. So this is 0.15. Still pretty different, very different facial shapes. And our shirt is still blue. Now this is interesting. As we got up into the 0.3 range, her hair got lighter and her shirt got lighter at the same time. Looks like it's getting closer to white and closer to blonde on both counts. Also seeing less variation in facial shape and facial structure. Now what we expect to see here in 0.45, init strength 0.45, is blonder, very much the case, and lighter shirt. Once again, you can still tell there's a little bit of gray, or blue rather, in her shirt, and a little bit of dark highlights in her hair as well. And this is at 0.6 init strength. This is 0.75 init strength. And what we'll see about 0.75 init strength is that it's even blonder, and her hair and her shirt rather is almost entirely white, almost entirely blonde, almost entirely white shirt. Very, very similar to our original image. Now when we go to 0.9, almost an identical image, even though we have a totally different prompt, or a prompt with very different adjectives in there to describe this person. Our image weighs very heavily on on our result. Just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. It's a pleasure to make videos for you, and I can't wait to make more. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see in the future.